Welcome to the Skull King Football Podcast, presented by Fox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin and Ryan Skullroot.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan Skullroot. I got my brother Justin with me. Go ahead and say hello, buddy.
Hello, everybody.
All right, well, we are going to get into today's headlines and a little bit of the Kings and Stings action to see who cost you your week and who helped you this week. But first, we've got a little announcement from Justin. So, Justin, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, we've got a drawing going on right now, or a competition. This is no fancy name for it, but this is a help us be searchable on iTunes type contest. So that's what we'll call it. The help us be searchable on iTunes type contest will be the official title. But it's as simple as this. When you type in fantasy football into iTunes, our podcast does not show up. Once again, we want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast and taking your time out of your day to listen to us. And we want to give back an opportunity for you guys to earn some cold hard cash by not only subscribing, but also helping other people find us and subscribe as well. So you will get 2 entries for your subscription, 1 entry for every additional person you add to us. How you enter is you send us a screenshot or a picture of a checkmark box of iTunes subscription showing that you have subscribed. DM that to us through Instagram or through Facebook. You will be entered in to win $100. Here's the kicker. So this isn't one of those type of drawings to where as you add more people, your odds go down. This is one where as you add more people, more money will be added. So for each 100 people who have entered in and shown us that they have subscribed, I will add another $100 to a prize. So if we say have 305 people enter, we will have 3 $100 winners. So that is going to be a competition that's going to be, or a prize drawing giveaway, what have you, that will run throughout the entire month of October. Christmas is coming up, so this is not something where it's going to be a jersey you may not want. This is going to be cold hard cash that you can spend anywhere you want to, and we will mail that out to you. So that is the long and the short of it. Please send us those, once again, through a direct message on Facebook or through Instagram.
Real quick, Justin, how do they send us that people that they have mentioned?
Oh, very good. So if you have mentioned this to somebody else and you know that they have subscribed
Or will subscribe,
send that as a direct message through Instagram. I will be doing a whole bunch of weeding through, verifying that. So if I get a list of names of 100 people that you've sent, preferably send us their Instagram handle, not their name. That would drastically help us, and once again also increase the likelihood of me finding that, yes, this was someone that you sent us, not John Smith, and you told me that it was, or John Smith at Instagram, and you told me it was well, that's maybe a horrible example, but you told me it was John Smith, and his Instagram handle is Big Daddy Fantasy Football. Like, I've got to be able to put 2 and 2 together here. So, yeah, that is our entry, and let's talk some fantasy football.
All righty. Well, why don't we go ahead and get going? Let's start with today's headlines. Now, the headline, I actually moved back just a little bit, Justin, on this because there was one headline that I wanted to get to from NFL Game Day. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell's focus is on playing in Pittsburgh and putting up numbers. He is not inclined to accept a trade at this point, which makes things even more difficult. Because
that makes no sense.
He very possibly could have veto rights in his contract about a trade.
Yeah, we'll have to double check that before we get too much further into the week.
Yeah, we'll look into that and try to get back, but that makes things a lot more difficult, especially on people like me who own James Conner. Moving on. Let's get into a little drama Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if Eli Manning is the reason for the Giants' struggling offense. So what does he do? He throws a touchdown pass himself.
Yeah, it's great. He did apologize after the game, or retract or whatever. He made some comments. I think it was just frustration on his part that he had not helped them win in over 2 years.
Yeah, basically
due to injury.
Yep. Moving on. Matt Breida left today with had to be helped off the field. Was not able to return. It looked like it was an ankle injury. Sprained ankle. I believe the X-rays came back negative for any breaks, so that's good to hear.
No breaks, but could be out, quote unquote significant to insignificant amount of time. I guess that's redundant, but he could miss a couple of weeks.
So Alfred Morris owners, pay attention.
Finally happy because Morris actually gets something.
Jaguars believe that running back Corey Grant suffered a Liz Frank injury that is likely to end his season. With Leonard Fournette out with a hamstring injury, the Jaguars need some running back help because all they have right now is TJ Yeldon, and even he has a little bit of an injury past himself, and has been lately, been on the injury report back and forth.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we're going to do a little bit of a lesson here. So Liz Frank injury is also known as a Liz Frank fracture. It's an injury in the foot to where one of the metatarsal bones within your foot becomes dislodged or displaced. And so that basically means that you almost makes it so that your foot is useless because one of the main bones that you need to be able to walk is completely moved and out of place. Incredibly painful.
Yeah, so definitely something that's a season ender that most likely requires surgery. So
yes.
Both Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks got knocked out of today's game with the Seahawks with concussions, and yet the Rams still managed to win. We're moving on. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm a little. Just one thing that I'll say. I'm a little bitter. For those of you who have been listening to us and joined our Sunday Swim League, I, as a Seahawks fan, bet on the Rams covering the 7 points, thinking that, hey, if the Seahawks lose, I win a little bit of money in the Swim League. Didn't happen because the Seahawks covered.
Almost won the game.
Yeah.
All right, and actually, it looks like that's it. Not a whole lot. A lot of the news and stuff on here is just kind of how people finished in terms of their week. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into our weekly segment, the Kings and Stings. This week's Kings and Stings is powered by StatRoute. You've heard us talk about them over these last couple weeks. They are a fantasy football stats research company, much like I guess you could say kind of like a pro football focused type in terms of how you can look up stats and things. We are very happy to have partnered with StatRoute. We use their information for all of our articles. When we're looking up stats for the podcast, they are an absolutely amazing source. The way that they break down stats to how someone scores in the first quarter, by half, by parts of the season, whether it be the first half of the season, second half of the season, playoffs, fantasy playoffs, home, away, how severe the weather, rain, snow, doesn't matter. They break down everything to the nth degree, and it is seriously some of the most elaborate statistical analysis I have ever seen. You guys need to get in on this. So what we have been able to do is we have been able to work with StatRoute, and we can get you guys a discount on their monthly subscription. So what you need to do is you need to go to statroute.com. That's StatRoute.com. And sign up for their monthly subscription and use the coupon code SkullKingFF. That's all one word, SkullKingFF, and you'll get 25% off your monthly subscription with StatRoute. Like I said, they're absolutely amazing, and to be honest, I don't know if your season can afford to be without them. So all that being said, let's get into the Kings and Stings, Justin.
one last thing about StatRoute, you do get a couple of days for free to check it out, try it out. If it doesn't work out for you, perfectly fine and acceptable. Great guys over there at StatRoute. So on to the Kings of the Week. I think this is we've got a lot of good names here. And so typical numbers, Aaron Rodgers, great-ish day, I guess you could say. 442 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 very costly fumbles, giving the Detroit Lions very short fields, which made LeGarrette Blount relevant for about an hour today. So coming in number 2, Tom Brady with his great performance of 341 yards, 4 touchdowns. 1 of those did come on the ground, and then 2 interceptions, followed by Andrew Luck coming in at number 3, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And so I like Luck for the next couple of weeks. Even without T.Y. Hilton and Jack Doyle, he's been able to put up some significant numbers. I had Ben Roethlisberger, I think, is my number 2 or number 1 quarterback this last week. Does a very good job, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. It's weird. I thought Roethlisberger could have done a little bit more, but James Conner, which we'll talk about in a second as well, had a very significant day, which kind of is why Ben Roethlisberger's numbers are a little bit lower on the pass yards perspective. And then coming in as a little bit of a surprise at number 5, Russell Wilson, 198 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And so I know a ton of people, including myself, that were very, very nervous about starting Russell Wilson. Realistically, that was not wrong. I'll put it this way. Even in looking at his stats, the only reason why he shows up on this Kings list is because he threw 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Someone like a Phillip Rivers threw a whole lot more yards, but only threw 2 touchdowns. And so the way this is weighted, touchdowns are a little bit heavier, and so that's why Russell Wilson, and it was very close coming in right behind. And then on the Sting side, there's not really a painful quarterback this week from realistic starters. Yes, Marcus Mariota had a horrible week. Once again, that only matters in much deeper leagues or 2 quarterback leagues. And then Ryan Tannehill struggled for the second week in a row as well. But at least he scored points this week. But the Stings, I have to pick 3. So Matt Ryan, 285 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. In a 6-point touchdown league, he scored 16 points. Coming in at number 2, Andy Dalton, 248 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, coming in at 14 points. And then number 3, I put in as Jared Goff, 321 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, really only on this list because of the 2 interceptions and because of the gaudy numbers that he has put up over the last couple of weeks. And then, once again, most of that is because of touchdowns not being there. But once again, Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp both left the game due to injury. And so on to the running back side of things, we have James Conner coming in as the number 1 king of the week. He ended up with 185 total yards, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. Now, really quickly to go back to the Le'Veon Bell discussion, Ryan, I want to throw something back to you. With Le'Veon Bell returning and the animosity from within his own team, do the Steelers still play Le'Veon Bell when he comes back? I mean, he has not been in training camp. He has not really been involved in workouts. Where do you go considering all the animosity at the beginning of the season?
Do you not play your $11 million running back?
When you have a $400,000 running back who's crushing it, and the $8 million running back's not coming back next year potentially.
I honestly really think that they'll work Le'Veon in. It may be a couple weeks, but I think the thing that they're working on the most is trading him. I really think that he will be playing somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's more along the lines of a play that the Seahawks were playing, is that they have a high threshold of what they're wanting. So far, no team has offered that. So they're
Come anywhere close.
So they're going to maintain those rights. The difference, obviously, is that Earl Thomas ended up coming back and playing and then getting injured and then flipping the bird. So Le'Veon Bell is kind of flipping the bird right now while not playing. So, but back on over to the Kings, Todd Gurley, just a giant touchdown machine. It's weird. 113 yards. I watched the game. 113 yards. It felt like he had a lot more than 113 yards.
To me, it felt like he had a lot less. And honestly, he had about 30 yards on the last drive alone because he got loose for, I want to say two different 10-yard runs for 2 quick first downs on the first 2 plays of that last drive, and then got stopped up, a couple of times and only got, like 8 or 9 yards.
Yeah, the 3 touchdowns. Basically, anytime they got in the red zone, it was Todd Gurley time. And so 4 catches, 3 touchdowns, most touchdowns for the week coming out of the running back position. And then Isaiah Crowell. I don't know what to say about this, considering that Isaiah Crowell couldn't score like 3 points last week, and then plays against Denver and decides to run for 219 yards on the ground
On like 15 carries.
On 12 carries.
12 carries.
I think. Let me double check that. But one catch.
Check it out.
One catch and a touchdown. The touchdown came on like a 70-yard rush, and he was just blatantly missed by 2 or 3 Denver defenders basically at the line of scrimmage. He just does a quick little jump cut route back to the middle, and then no one really touches him. Robbie Anderson actually on that play had a block where Crowell then passes him, and then you see Robbie Anderson charge to catch Crowell and then get in front of the defender that's chasing Crowell so that defender doesn't get him. So Robbie Anderson had like 3 blocks on this play. But if you had started Isaiah Crowell, congrats. I probably would have been that guy begrudgingly angry that he was sitting on my bench, because I was a believer in, if any running back was going to have value, it would have been Bilal Powell this week. But kudos to Isaiah Crowell for bouncing back. Coming in at number 4, consistent player on this list, along with Todd Gurley, is Saquon Barkley. 129 yards, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. He was the recipient of the Odell Beckham Jr. 57-yard touchdown pass, and ended up kind of tweaking his knee, I think, later in the game. Currently listed as questionable, but once again, give him a couple of days, he should be able to bounce back from that. Fairly certainly, there was no real news out after the game about any significant injury there. Coming in at number 5, T.J. Yeldon. In the absence of Leonard Fournette and against the worst defense in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs, T.J. Yeldon, 122 total yards, 8 catches, and a touchdown. And so, good game overall from him. The Chiefs now are 5-0. But Ryan, you sent out an interesting infographic about the Chiefs and their number and O starts. So like 13-0, 9-0, 4-0, 5-0.
Let me pull that up real quick. It was, I believe it was on Facebook. Put that in the group. Yeah, it had to do with how good the Chiefs have started. So many different times. Let's see, scroll down real quick, and let's see. It had. Well, it's coming up slow. Oh wait.
Okay, we'll move on and we'll come back to it here in just a second. But going back to Crowell, it was 15. It was 15 carries.
15 carries.
And then Bilal Powell had a solid game himself, 20 rushes for 99 yards himself. On to the stings, the running back players who hurt you so far this week. Coming in at number 1, I have Jay Ajayi. 34 yards, 1 catch, and a fumble. Produces very little fantasy production against a Minnesota defense that has struggled mightily over the last 7 games, going back into the playoffs of last year, giving up a significant number of points. You would have thought Jay Ajayi would have produced something a little bit more than what he did. And so that comes in as a rather painful product this week. Oh, and Ryan has that Chiefs thing.
All right, so here's the Chiefs thing. 1996, the Chiefs started 4-0. 2003, the Chiefs started 9-0. 2010, the Chiefs started 3-0. 2013, the Chiefs started 9-0. 2017, the Chiefs started 5-0. 2018, the Chiefs have started 4-0. Not a single playoff game was won in any of those seasons. Be careful buying into the hype again.
Well, I will buy into all of the fantasy hype at this point. But once again, playoffs are a completely new season, especially in fantasy.
The top comment underneath it was is a picture of the Kermit meme, drinking the iced tea, and it's since Mahomes sounds like Kermit, they've got Mahomes with a green face.
And it's just brutal.
It says
says you sound like Kermit the Frog.
It says they've also never had a quarterback like me, which is true.
It's true.
So, all right, moving on.
In recent years, they did have Montana in the later years of life.
Yeah, but that was the end of his career.
Yeah, and no quarterback for the Chiefs has had this kind of a start. I don't think anybody really has. But on to a couple other things. Deion Lewis, 48 yards, 3 catches, and a fumble, so that negates some of the production from the catches. Played a rather tough game in Buffalo. How about the Bills, though? Just as a quick tangent, they can't seem to score or really be that good of a team, yet they've beat Minnesota and they've beat the Titans. So,
yeah, Minnesota was just god-awful that day. Let's be honest. And the Titans can't get anything going on offense. So they didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
Really, it's Allen runs in 1 touchdown and Hauschka kicks a couple of field goals. That's it. That's all they needed.
Yeah, I'm not buying that the Bills are any better than the worst team in football.
No.
Because Minnesota's defense was atrocious and has been, minus this week. And the Tennessee Titans offense hasn't been able to score more than, 21 points in a game?
Something like that.
So, final 2 stings. Marshawn Lynch, 41 yards. He did catch the ball, 2 catches, but you were looking for more production out of Marshawn Lynch. And then kind of a quote-unquote honorable mention, Devonta Freeman. A lot of people were excited about the possibility or about his play and the possibility of him potentially playing last week but not playing. And then kind of a 3-headed monster for the Falcons. Ito Smith is actually getting a lot of touches in that offense right now.
Yeah.
But Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman are both banged up. And so Freeman, 41 yards, 2 catches, does not help you win your week by becoming way low from his projections so far. Now on to the wide receivers. Coming in at number 1, put the team on his back, Odell Beckham Jr., 8 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown, and partner that with 1 pass for 57 yards and a touchdown. So 2 total touchdowns. The metrics from passing yards is only 2 points, not the traditional 5 points that you would see. Devontae Adams, 9 catches, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Antonio Brown, 6 catches, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Antonio Brown, owners can now feel happy that Brown is getting into the end zone consistently and doing pretty well. Even though he had not really scored that many touchdowns so far this season, he was still the number 10 wide receiver, so not really the painful piece that a lot of Antonio Brown owners were freaking out about. But number 4, Robbie Anderson, 3 catches, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not exactly someone I'm excited about on the waiver wires coming up. It all that came on basically 2 deep passes and then 1 pass for a first down. It is 123 yards. But the story of the game against Denver was the rushing game, really, really well. And Quincy Enunwa really not anywhere to be seen on the field. Adam Thielen rounds it out for the 5 Kings of the week. 7 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. The stings were much easier to find in the wide receiver section than they were the quarterback or the running back selections. Quincy Enunwa, most painful one, 5 targets, 0 catches. This isn't someone who played a couple of snaps like Samuel Watkins last week and then got injured. This was a player that was continually targeted, yet just couldn't seem to get anything going. Coming in at number 2 is Mr. Amari Cooper. The volatility of the ups and the downs there are not something you're looking for in a wide receiver. And so I would advise putting Amari Cooper at a flex position and based off matchups, avoid him. And then number 3, Will Fuller. He did come in healthy for the game. No injury designation coming into the game. 2 catches, 15 yards. But Dallas is a very underrated defense. But Kiki Kuti was the one that did get the touchdown in the game. And so on to the tight ends. We're going to quickly run through these. Eric Ebron, 9 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That should continue. Not the 2 touchdowns part, but the catches and the yards should continue as long as Jack Doyle is out. So Ebron is a solid auto start at this point right now. Zach Ertz, once again, another auto start. 10 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Austin Hooper is a painful one on the Kings section for me personally because you haven't really seen a lot of production out of Austin Hooper this week or out of Austin Hooper this season. Not a lot of targets. I don't think he's had more than 5 targets in a week. He comes in with like 12 targets this week, 9 catches, 77 yards against the Steelers. Coming in number 4, Travis Kelce, 5 catches and 100 yards. Number 5, Rob Gronkowski, 6 catches, 75 yards so far this week. On the Sting side, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, 1 target, 0 catches. He had been a somewhat popular streaming option because it was Kansas City, but 0 points for him. Coming in at number 2 on the Sting side, Vance McDonald's 1 catch for 6 yards against Atlanta. They really focused on Antonio Brown and Connor in this game in terms of the offense. Even Juju, even though he scored a touchdown, even Juju had a down week. And then coming in, rounding it out, number 3 on the Sting side is Jared Cook, who had been the number 1 tight end in fantasy, ends with 4 catches and 20 yards this week. So that rounds us out for the Kings and Stings.
All righty. Well, that's all we've got for you tonight. We've got another show coming at you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be our waiver wire picks.
Waiver wire madness.
Waiver wire madness. So we'll be bringing that to you guys tomorrow night. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you guys later. My name is Ryan.
This is Justin.
And this has been the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. We'll talk to you guys later. Hey, Skull King Nation. Thank you for listening to the Skull King Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.